NCDXC Market Limited, and my location is currently Nagpur, Maharashtra.
Oh, that's great, man. Great to meet you. And Parag recently joined this cohort, and so yeah. So just to give a brief about what we do in this cohort, right, and what the goal is. So basically, we discuss things here, right? Things that like I would do as a software engineer, things that you should do. There's not a specific structure to the cohort, but rather I will tell you that these things you should learn. And we also consistently practice lead code, as you could have seen from the group, right? That we consistently practice 2 3 lead code questions every day. We consistently talk about doing these things, and we also discuss system design problems here, right? So that should give you a fair idea, right? So we'll just get started, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just show what kind of what are am I trying to do today, right? What are we trying to cover today? Basically, the first thing is we are going to talk a little bit about Elasticsearch, right? Last week we talked about Redis, and Elasticsearch is also one of these components that let's say you're given a task, right? You're given a task like the interviewer tells you build Instagram for me, or build WhatsApp for me, or something like that, right? So these components, right, when you talk about Redis, when you talk about Elasticsearch, right, these are things that these are like these small Lego blocks that you put at a certain place, right? You see that this is the business use case that I need, like I want to search something, right? I want to search something where there is large amount of data, or I want to log large amount of data. So you plug Elasticsearch in it, right? You need fast access, like I explained a use case yesterday. So we need so for that we basically use things like Elasticsearch. You can kind of just plug it in where you see the use case, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically I've like written down a couple of use cases, right? So Shyam, you have read a bit about Elasticsearch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me a bit, what did you read, what did you understand about Elasticsearch?
Okay. So what I understood was like with the name Elasticsearch, we understood
Okay.
we have search in it. So it is like a search engine. Like if we have a huge amount of data, so
Okay.
how they made some like app which will like which will easily fetch data and like
Okay.
fast. And elastic by what that means ki what I understood was ki if they have small data, then also like it search like obviously it will search fine, and scaling it also is like pretty easy. So that's
Okay.
what I think meant by elastic.
Yeah,
And
so I'll try to give you a basic definition of what Elasticsearch is, right? And to understand Elasticsearch better, you should see some of the other apps that actually do the same kind of thing, right? There's something like Algolia that we used at a previous company. So what Algolia does is, right? Let's just say you have this e-commerce app that you're building, right? You have this e-commerce app that you're building, and if you can see the use case here only, right, that people are not going to search exactly what you want them to search, right? Like you have doors listed, you have cabinets listed, someone's going to search something like give me a door, then like cabinet and something like that. And so how do we like based on the intent of the search, right, that you go to Amazon, you search this thing, how does Amazon show you that what you are searching for, right?
mhm,
I'm
yeah,
asking you. Yeah, I'm asking you.
like Amazon, I think in the backend they use some like AI related stuff.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? You need to be curious about these things, right? Whenever you see around you, like to be a good software engineer, whenever you're seeing this, that this is happening, like I'm not searching for something, but I'm not exactly searching for something, but I know the intent, right? Like you have this song in your head where this happens, and you go to Google and you search that song, and Google gives you that song. Like there's a man that dances, but you don't remember the, like, you don't remember the song name, but you remember the lyrics, and Google gives you the song, right? So all these searches, right, these are how do you say, like these are like smart searches or something like that, right? So Algolia does something like that, right? It provides a solution out of the box, because let's say a big company like Amazon has 100% team who will take care of these searches, right? But searches are needed for everything. A small organization of 5-10 people will also need a search solution, right? And we cannot have a vanilla search solution. We need, who is this person? Oh, Shivansh. Okay. Yeah. So we can't give them a like a generic search solution, right? Like we cannot implement it in house. We basically use this kind of tools like Algolia, Elasticsearch, right? So Elasticsearch is kind of a tool. If I have to explain it like very in a very bare bones way to you, right? You have JSON data, right? You have a very large JSON or NoSQL data, like let's say you have a record, right? And there's a lot of JSON data that's associated with that record. You're just going to push the whole thing to Elasticsearch, and then you can search it very easily, right? If there is something in the record that you want to search for, right, it's very easy to search. Do you understand, Shyam?
Yeah, getting it.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you do understand, like can you repeat what Elasticsearch does basically?
I think like it's on top of normal search engine.
Yeah,
They've added few, not few, like many lines of code, so that to make the search more efficient, the data will be same.
it's not a normal search engine. So a search engine is basically code, right? So I'll just try to explain this. So basically you can, for now you can consider that it's basically like you're putting in JSON data or NoSQL data, and you know you're searching something like design or something like that, and it's very efficient, it's scalable. It's scalable means it's, you know, distributed in nature. So like if you see some of the use cases that I've written, right, e-commerce product search, there is less data, but when you look at this log and event data analysis, right, you can understand how much event data is. Imagine this, you have a system, right, and every click is tracked, right? You have an e-commerce application, every time you're going to the application, every time you're clicking, all that data is being tracked, right? So just imagine how much volume of data that is going to be there. It's going to be billions of actions that are going to happen in one day, right? And to search in that kind of data, right, that's what Elasticsearch does, right? If you're clear about this, right? And then you
Yes.
have real-time application monitoring, you have business intelligence, you have SIAM, that is security management. So we have personally used Elasticsearch for e-commerce product search. Like I said, Algolia also does this, and for log and event data analysis, right? So this is something that I would want you guys to study in depth, right? And then in the chat, I would want you guys to write certain cases where Elasticsearch could be used, right? Or like, you know, Shyam, you made a post on LinkedIn on Redis. So similarly, maybe make a post on Elasticsearch, if that
Okay.
makes sense. Okay.
Mhm.
And again, whenever, now where do we plug this in, right? If you're told to build Amazon, right, where do you plug it in? Interviewer won't tell you to build Amazon, there can be multiple, but whenever you're told to build any kind of e-commerce application, right, you can plug it in the search, you can plug it in the log analysis. Log analysis is every application has it, right? So literally any system design interview question you get, you can literally plug it in wherever you have to do this log and event data analysis, right? Or real-time application monitoring, right? So every system has Elasticsearch in some way or form, right? I mean, there are alternatives, but every application uses this kind of system where you need to put a large amount of JSON data into a distributed system, and then you need to query it, right? Why so much silence, guys?
Yes.
Like, are you guys not understanding?
No, no, getting it.
Okay, okay, cool. Let's just move away from Elasticsearch. But I would really want you guys to understand this very well, just like we understood Redis, right? And moving on to the next thing, right? What we want to do that. So, have you guys ever deployed any code? Shreya, you tell me.
Deployed any code in a sense like
Deployed code, like proper deployed code, not that Netlify shit. Not like you just do some follow some steps, deploy in Netlify, like actual. So the thing is, right, I've been working, this is kind of the first task that I've gotten in this new company, right, that I have to write a service from scratch and deploy it, right? Every company that I've worked with, there has been, so as a decent DevOps software engineer, right, not a DevOps engineer, as a decent software engineer in any startup, you would have to know basics, be it Azure,
Yeah,
be it, yeah.
actually, I have deployed it, but I have not used Docker. I have not used Docker images
Okay, what
directly. I
have
have
you?
jar. I have deployed,
Okay, yeah.
as
So
in, yeah.
okay, yeah, that's a good thing to do. Like again, there are different ways to deploy images, right? You have, you can literally put the code in an EC2 instance and deploy it. You can have Docker. There are various ways to deploy it. But for the sake of this lecture, what I wanted you guys to do is, this week, right, this entire week, I want to make it about DevOps, right? So we want to learn how to deploy code using Docker and ECS, right? How to deploy code in the like more optimized way possible, right? So over the weekend we'll be deploying some code also. Today I kind of wanted to give a brief about how these various components work, and what are these various components, right, and how do we deploy code, which one should be preferred, like should I prefer an EC2 instance, should I prefer an ECR or ECS instance, right? So like, any of you guys, do you know any of this?
Docker container I'm aware of, and
Okay,
EC2 instances I'm aware of.
okay.
Okay.
So tell
So,
me what an EC2 instance is.
so EC2 instance, it is like a virtual computer which we like make from our own. Like we can select the memory, we can select how much space it will have. We can
Exactly, exactly, correct definition. So if we have an EC2 instance, right, it's a virtual computer, we can just put this code in this EC2 and just deploy it, right? Our server will be set up. That's the easy way to deploy, right?
yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me why would I use Docker instead?
Uh, Docker we might use because let's say you're deploying a Java microservice that
Okay,
will require a specific like Java 11 version and Maven specific version. So
okay.
inside Docker script, you can mention key before doing anything, just install these two software because these are my prerequisites.
But this is
And
an
that
EC2, but this is an EC2 instance, right? It can do anything a Docker container can do. You can configure it, you can install it, you can add a prerequisite script, bash script to install it, right, before you configure the code in it.
okay, acha, okay, C2. Okay, then Docker will have like one more advantage key. We can scale up and scale down also. It is
You
in
can do that
EC2.
in an EC2.
Yeah.
You can't scale up and scale down in an EC2.
Yeah, in EC2 also we can do, yeah.
Okay, so this is a very important question, I think, and this is also a very foundation question for as a software engineer, because you should always know why Docker over EC2, right? So let's just say that you have this computer, right? You have this computer over here, and that computer does a lot of things, right? It has a mouse, it has a keyboard, but you're using it as a server, right? You're using it as a server, so does it need a keyboard?
Keyboard.
You're using it as a server. It's just sitting in one corner of your room as a server, and it's set up and done. So does it still need a keyboard and a mouse?
No, I guess no.
Yeah. Why are you guessing that? It should be a no, right? It doesn't need a keyboard and a mouse. It just needs a CPU, right? Do you know something like what this Pi 3 Raspberry Pi 3 is?
Uh, yeah, like for connecting the hardware with software.
No, no. Oh man, no. It's a Raspberry Pi 3 is the very basic computer, right? It's a very basic computer. They stripped everything off. There's no graphics card. There's no fluff in a computer, and it's a very basic computer. You connect it to a mouse, it will work. It's a very basic thing. There's very less memory, very less thing. So that's what a Docker container is, right? Because Docker says that in an EC2, right? In an EC2, you have everything that a computer has, but let's just say that I need an image, right? I'm deploying a JavaScript application. So do I need all of those things? Do I need all an entire Linux distribution to be installed in like in a virtual big ass computer? Like, why not just spin off the bare minimum, a container where I just have the bare minimum cover over it that is needed for running something, right? So in terms of cost, if we say an EC2 container would be like $200 or something like that. Again, that's a production level container I'm talking about. A Docker container would be $1 or $2 or $3, I think, for an ECS instance. So do you understand like the cost savings, what is happening, right?
Docker can be $1, like.
Just a bare minimum Docker container that you're spinning off in an ECS instance, right? So that's really cheap, and it's very much scalable. It's much flexible as compared to an EC2 instance, right? Because you're taking the bare minimum that is needed. You're not taking all the fluff. You're not putting an entire Linux inside it, right? A Linux can do a lot of other things. It can play video games and stuff, but you don't need all that, right? So that's why you use a Docker container, right? So again, that's I'm just talking about in basic things, right? I'll move forward. If you're not able to catch up something, we'll talk it in the chat, right? So because basically there's this Docker container that we use, right? And we have multiple ways to deploy. One is the EC2 instance, then the other one is we have these Docker containers within which we build our code and we put it inside the Docker container. And then what do you know what an ECR is? Amazon Elastic Container Registry. I'll explain. It's basically like a library. It's like a library of where whenever you're putting this code inside a container, it's basically like a version, right? It's a version of that container in the code. So it's like a library of these containers, right? It's like a library of this container image it's called. And then what an ECS is, and ECS is an execution. So what it does is, let's say this ECR is like a library. It has all these books, right? It has all these books. And then what ECS does is, let's just say that now I want to execute something, right? Now I want this code, this server, that this code I'm running inside a Docker container, now I want this to run. So ECR will pick that up. So what ECS does is it picks up that image from the Docker container, it puts it in its own execution context, and it runs it. It's, let's say, it has its own auto scaling group. So it spins off 10 instances, right? It spins off 10 instances, you get 10 IP addresses, then there's load balancers balancing those requests, right? um like how much are you guys understanding? I just wanted to understand. Hello?
Yeah, for me, like I'm getting everything. This Amazon ECS is a bit new for me, but
this
still
this
getting.
is this is something that will be asked, right? I mean, you so like half the companies run on AWS, half the companies run on Azure, right? And if you're working at any startup, you will need to learn these things, right? So mostly whenever a startup starts, right, they usually spin things off in EC2 instances, because it's like a whole computer. You put an EC2 instance up, you can do multiple things in there. It's like a virtual computer. You are spinning off a Postgres in there. Your database is in there. Your multiple servers are running in there. There are various subnets that they are connected to, right? Sorry, not subnets, IP addresses that they're exposing, right? And later what happens is that becomes less cost efficient, right? The cost increases, and then we have this Docker container, and then they slowly move towards ECS because it's much more manageable, right? So that's why one of the things is whenever you're joining a startup, you should know at the bare bones how to deploy something using AWS, and that's kind of what we are going to do in the coming weeks, right? So I'd want you guys to have your, so does any one of you have an AWS account?
Yes, from the company account.
Yeah, Parag, you're pretty silent.
No, no, no. I don't have an account. I just had one question, as in if it auto balances the thing. So how is the we have to configure the load balancing explicitly?
Definitely. So, like I said, there are a lot of ways to deploy, right? There's EC2 to deploy, there's ECS, there's Fargate to deploy. As you do these things hands on, right, you will understand a little bit. That's something we're going to do this week. What your question is basically like, how do we decide the traffic, right? If it's going up, going down. Is that your question?
No. So suppose you have deployed 10 instances. No. So which instance will get how much traffic? That was my question.
Okay, so basically, there's something known as a target group, right? Let's just say you have deployed 10 instances, right? So those 10 instances are 10 containers, and within those 10 containers, there are 10 copies of the Node.js application running. They have their own IP addresses, and in the Docker container, they have mapped that IP address. So 10 IP addresses, right? 10 IP addresses that are exposed in ECS. ECS does not know which IP address is getting how much traffic, or how much traffic to route. Now we have something, now at the top level, at the level above that, when you go, right, there is various things that can happen, right? You can have a dictionary where you're routing this much traffic. You can configure that logic manually. Or what other applications do is that there is a load balancer, right? There is a load balancer, and then there is a target group. So within that target group, you register those IP addresses, and in that load balancer there is this scheduling algorithms, round robin algorithms. There's this different scheduling algorithms. AWS has multiple kinds of load balancers also. So this load balancer takes this target, it distributes the traffic equally, or using its own logic, to those various IP addresses. And that's the very simple way of how deployments work, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So we are actually going to do this whole thing, right? Over this Saturday. I'm also doing this as part of my org. I'm deploying from scratch, right? And this is very, very important, right? If you guys want to like get placed, get good jobs, right? If you need to absolutely know how to deploy something in AWS from scratch. So what I would recommend is, go over to AWS, create an account. You'll need some credit card details, but that's okay, right? I mean, it's Amazon, won't steal your details, but just give me a minute. Yeah, so you can go over to Amazon, give out these details, and then basically just get over, like tomorrow maybe get all your AWS accounts set up, and then we'll communicate asynchronously in the WhatsApp group. I would want you guys to go over and create an ECS container, maybe an ECR image or something, just play around with Docker a bit, right? Do you guys think you can do that?
Setting up AWS account and yeah, like I had previously, have to make new,
Okay.
and other stuff we have to figure out. I think that would be easy.
Yeah, but let's try to do this end to end, because this is a very important thing, I would say. And I would want you guys to create it. So yeah, that's kind of what we wanted to discuss for today's class. So it's a bit short, I know, because I've been kind of moving around. Tomorrow, next session we'll do a lead code problem and also system design, right? So we have some time. So Parag, tell me like a bit about yourself and stuff, right? You're new.
Yeah. So, as in, do you want to know?
Just introduce yourself to the group. Like what are you looking
Yeah,
for through this mentorship? Maybe
yeah,
just
yeah.
drop a detail, right?
So I just want to switch to a based company. Currently, I'm working in a partial product base and matlab it's a partial product base and partial service base, but it is very small company. So I just want to switch to a big company. I want to experience how things work at scale. So because in my current organizations, the scale is very less and
Okay.
exposure is also very less. So I'm looking for it.
Yeah,
And I
definitely.
also wanted to know in which languages do you all code?
Yeah, so we don't have a specific language to code in. If we're doing lead code problems, we'll code it in Java, right? But I try to do less of lead code problems. So there's like 15 minutes that we start with a small medium lead code problems, just to like sort of rack our brains, keep the practice going, right? Most communication in this group, if you see the WhatsApp, we communicate more asynchronously. We try to make sure that everyone's doing like 2 3 problems a day, right? We are all moving forward and just understanding. But I'll kind of tell you why I think that like what's more important for me is that all of you guys are doing these things, this system design task that I'm giving, right? Like if I'm telling you to study Elasticsearch, or if I'm telling you to study Redis, then you guys should study that thing. And you guys should prepare and come, because around the after the first month, right, after the first month we are going to start with the bigger system design interview questions, right? Design in Instagram, design YouTube, and these basics are going to be plug and play, right? We're going to plug and play these things, components, wherever it comes. And then at that time I'm not going to explain to you why I'm putting it there, right? So you should have this context. And then so basically as we learn these things, and apart from that also, like I said, deployment is a very big step. Like whenever you get an assignment from a company, if it's a US remote company also, right? For remote companies, almost always it's written in the assignment, you have to deploy it in AWS, Azure, whatever. AWS is usually chosen because Azure is a bit more complicated, right? Azure mostly people go because of cost reasons, but AWS is much simpler to understand and implement. So that's why we are going to do this deployment together, right? And one more thing about this group is that we usually help each other out. Like Shivansh last week helped us out with code, like with lead code problems and stuff like that. So we all help each other out, like help each other out, explain questions, like if we're encountering some issues with lead code, and we basically all grow together, right? So yeah, that's it. Like is there any questions that any one of you has about anything? Hello.
No questions from my end.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, it's being recorded.
Yeah, I think I'm also fine as of now.
Okay. Okay, cool. um So I guess today will be a little short, but I guess it would have been 45 minutes if we added some lead code. But yeah, cool. I think
One
that's about.
question,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ramit.
So
Like,
yeah,
we have daily questions on lead code, right? Some are easy and some are like medium and hard.
yeah,
So, solving those daily, like, will it be helpful? Or
definitely.
solving like topic wise?
I think the way you should solve is not topic wise, because topic wise preparation is something you have been doing till now, right? I expect you to have done it. The way is that, in an interview you get thrown random questions, right? So you should see each session as a mock interview, right? Like today maybe I asked you guys questions on AWS, right? DevOps side of things. So that's something an interviewer will ask you, right? I've In almost every interview I've been asked these questions, and that's kind of like, if you're not able to answer something, if you're not able to get something, right? In a lead code question also, when we're doing a random lead code question, if you're not able to get it, then that's an opportunity for you, right? Then that's an opportunity for you to understand that this is something that I'm lacking. Then you go back to the board, right? And then you fix that out, and you also fix out the other errors that you are facing, right? Topic wise is you're a little restricted, in my opinion, right?
Hmm. Ah,
Okay, cool. I mean, there's some good news I wanted to share with you guys all. The waitlist is like at 40 people right now, and that's good, right?
oh, great.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I think I'm really happy that, we are. I think we are doing something great here, right? Because people are watching those videos also, and like, we are trying to learn a lot together, right? And like grow as software engineers, because like I said, right? Like I said that it's more about the kind of people that, you talk to in your software engineering career, the curiosity that you have that helps you grow, right, in your career. If you're just doing boring stuff all day, you won't be able to grow that much, right? So just think outside the box sometimes, do random problems, right? Read random papers, right? Random papers, right? There is this blog, Agoda engineering blog. I used to read it. Like it has so many interesting problems, like how they deal with search and all that. So that's something most engineers do, right? Most good engineers, like the great engineers, they read random papers. Like it might seem like a waste of time to a lot of people, but they read those papers, and that's what makes them great, because eventually you might come across a problem in your organization where, you have to implement that kind of solution, and then it's off the top of your head, and you know that this is the best solution because someone else has already done 6 months of hard work for that for you, right? So yeah, that's all I would just say, right? And okay, if like no one has anything, we can like meet next week. I think Shivansh had a question to ask me later, so I'll stop recording then for that. But yeah, so none of you guys have any questions?
No.
Okay, cool. I'll stop recording. You guys can like drop off, and we'll be in touch in WhatsApp. Obviously, I'd want you guys to do this. Write a like Shreyam, you did, right? Like last week, wrote a LinkedIn post on Redis, right? This week,
Mhm.
can all three of you, Parag, Shreyam, and Shivans, can you three guys write a post on Elasticsearch?
I'm still getting follow requests from that post.
That's what I'm saying, right? So basically, like I showed you, right? So many people send me this job opportunities, like
Hmm.
HRs and, even CTOs and stuff. And that's important, because once you gain followers, your resume gets more highlighted. People, HRs, go and search those portals. So that's also one of the major goals that I'm trying to do here, is to get your following up, right? To get your social media games good, because LinkedIn is a very good platform in that, right? Because I've never seen a 10k engineer with 10-20k followers struggling, right? So yeah, so I want all three of you to write one post about and it shouldn't be like a generic post. It shouldn't be like something you've copied from a book or from chat gpt. Write what you understood in this lecture, right? Write what you understood about elasticsearch, what it's used. Parag, do you think you can write that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So all three of you write it, tag me. I'll see that, right? And I'll understand how good we are going, right? Yeah, you two guys can drop off. I'll stop recording the video. Shivansh has a couple of questions and I'll answer. Okay? Bye guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, bye.